Hello and welcome to this IELTS video. I'm Preetinder Kaur for Perfect Scores. This is our Facebook, email and website address. So in this video, we are going to delve on the topic of scoring, which is a question that most students have. So what most students are given is a basic requirement. For example, to get admission, you need a 7.5 in reading or you need a 6 in speaking. So how do you know how much should you score in the reading and listening sections, and how is the speaking and the writing section graded? So let me give you some information on the listening, reading, and this total scores. So the listening section is common. There's no difference in the general or the academic format, but there is a difference in the reading. So I'm going to give you some information about the reading, the academic version, and reading in the general version. And then on this side, we have different scores. How much do you need to score out of 40 to get a 9, to get an 8.5, to get 8, so on and so forth till 4.5. So these are the scores for the listening section. So let's say you have to get an 8. That means you need to get either 35 out of 40 correct or 36 out of 40 correct. Now obviously there's no negative marking, so you should try and attempt all the questions that you're given. But just for information, you can just note down whatever your score requirement is and how many questions you need to get correct in order to achieve that score. So now let's come down to the academic section of the reading. This is the information for the academic format of the reading section. It's approximately the same as the listening. So let's say you want to score a 7. Your target should be getting more than 30 answers correct in both listening and reading. And now let's see what happens in the general. Now an important thing is that in the general test, the questions are definitely easier than in the academic format. But to compensate for that level of difficulty, the marking is stricter. For example, in the academic reading, it is possible to get a 9 even if you get 39 questions correct. But if you get 39 questions correct in the general test, you only manage to get an 8.5. So let me put this information. For example, again, to get a score of 8.5, you need to get 39 questions correct in case of the general test. But in case of academic, even if you got 37 questions correct, you still get an 8.5. And as I write down these numbers for the general test, you can easily note the difference in the strictness or the harshness of the marking. And since the general test is easier than the academic format, it is much tougher to score the same band in the general test. So I would say overall it is quite balanced, and there's no discrepancy involved in the different scoring. So let me put that down here. Usually students have a requirement more than 5.5. And when they begin, a lot of students, they begin with a score of just about 4 or 4.5, and then they have to move up through the score, and this is the information that is given. So if you score, let's say 13, in case of a general test, you will get a really low score that won't stand anywhere. So that is the scoring, and you can just take down the notes on whatever your requirement is. Now let's get ahead and know a little bit more about what the bands actually mean. So you know that the bands are given in the form of 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and even 0. And then there is some overlap, for example, 8.5, 7.5, 6.5, and so on. So 9 is given to someone who is an expert user. And 9 is actually achievable in the listening section. 8 is given to someone who is a very good user of the English language. 7 is given to someone who is a good user. 6 is given to someone who's a competent user, means he can survive in an English-speaking country. So a competent user. 5 is a modest user, may have some difficulties in surviving in an English-speaking country, but will survive. And the fourth one is limited. Someone who gets placed in band 3 means he has very limited knowledge of the English language. 2 would mean an intermittent, that means just beginning, an intermittent user. 1 would mean a non-user. So 1 is the lowest score, and 0 means a person did not even appear for the test. All right, so that is what 0 stands for, that the person did not appear. Now coming to the writing, as I told you in the test structure of writing, in writing there are 2 tasks. Task 1, which is worth 3 bands, and task 2, which is worth 6 bands, and so the total is 9 bands. Now how is the writing and the speaking actually calculated? So in writing and speaking there are 4 criteria each. In writing, the criteria are task achievement, that's the first criteria, out of which some marks are given, and this is one of the areas on which you are tested. In speaking, the first area is fluency. Now, task achievement means whether the person has actually achieved what was supposed to be achieved. Has he answered all the questions? Whatever needed to be done, has he done all that or not? And fluency in speaking refers to the kind of pronunciation that you have. You don't need an accent, but the pronunciation needs to be correct. Now, apart from these 2 criteria, the other 3 are common in them. There should be coherence and cohesion. That means there should be a logical flow of ideas. The grammar that is used should be correct. And lexical resource, the kind of language that you use, the vocabulary that you use. So you should try and bring a little bit of, let's say, variety in the kind of sentences that you use. So in grammar, we are talking about the range, that means variety, and also about accuracy. So in writing, these are the 4 criteria, and in speaking, these are the 4 criteria on which you will be graded. So that is all that you need to know about the scoring of this test. In the next video, we will discuss how the scores are converted from the IELTS test to the other tests that you may be asked to take. So that's all in this video. Thank you for watching this one.